I heartily welcome you all, and let us get started with the discussion of multi-level inheritance. Okay, one by one we are exploring, unfolding different types of inheritance. Basically, what we are talking is a parent class, another that is child class. Parent class implicitly, automatically giving its property to child class. That means if you just take a look at the code, those variables, those functions which are derived from the parent class, they will be invisible, but still they will be there. So that is the concept, that is the hidden power of inheritance. Alright, we basically say that reusability is the most useful feature of inheritance. Okay, so when we are talking about the base class, normally we use two access specifiers or visibility modes. There is private, which is by default, another one that is public. Along with that, let us get introduced to one more visibility mode, that is known as protected part. Okay, so now the base class will be having three modes: private, protected and public. Okay, just let me give you the brief about the private, protected and public. Whatever data and functions you define in the private section, they will not be able to go beyond the class. That means they cannot cross over the class definition. Okay, whatever you define inside the public section of the class, that will be always visible to entire program. That means you cannot hold it, you cannot control the visibility of those which is defined under the public mode. Okay, that is the reason why we have to go for a protected mode. It is kind of an intermediate of both the things, semi of private, semi of public, and that is protected. All right, so like we just talked about a new visibility mode called protected. So now we are very clear about one particular point, that any class, let it be a parent class, let it be a child class, now any class will be having three modes, three parts. Either it will be private or protected or public. That is, we are talking about the base class. Just like the base class, whenever we are going to derive it, we are going to get into the derived class, child class. Once again, we will be having three options. The child class will be receiving the properties and store it either in the private mode or in the public mode or in the protected mode. See everyone, just like this. In this particular example, test is the child class of student. Student is a main parent class, super class, you say, super parent class. Student class is going to be derived into class test. So test will be the child of super, and where exactly it is going to receive all the properties, hold all the properties, that is inside the public section of the same class. So that is what I mean, right? That means every child class, every derived class will be having three options to receive the properties from the base class. Okay, that is the reason why we need this table. That is the reason why we are having this table, which you can see below the screen. Okay, let me explain you this table. In this table over here, the column, that is for the base class. All the three options from the base class, that is the properties defined either in the private or protected or in the public. Just like that, while receiving those properties, once again the child class is having three modes, three possibilities, either in the public or, say, the column, this is all about the child class. Either it is going to receive the properties in public or in private or in the protected mode. So that is the table you have to go through. You have to be very careful with the table. Okay, now about the base class. See, let us go through the table content very quickly. Whenever the base class properties we are talking about is private, know whether the child class receiving mode is public or private or protected. Private properties of the base class will not be derived inside the child class. That's it. Okay, second option, if the properties of the base class is defined using protected. Okay, in that particular case, let us do one thing. Let us talk about the public first. Fine, that will be more easier for you to understand. Okay, in case if the base class property is public and the child class receiving mode is public, see where it intersects the rows and column. Base class public, receiving of the child class is public. They are intersecting right here in the public point. Fine. Okay, second possibility, base class is still public, but the child class mode is the second one, that is private. Okay, that means the child is going to receive those properties and store it into the private section. That is the second intersection over here. And third possibility, when the base class properties are public and the child class receiving mode is protected, in that particular case, once again the intersection part that is protected. Okay, the common part about the private line, no, no and no, that means it is not going anywhere beyond the class. That's why strictly no for all the options of the child class. Compared to that, in the public section, okay, in the public section, if you observe the table, it depends on the visibility mode of the child class. If the child class is public, the property will go public. If the child class property is private, the properties will go private. If the child class property receiving mode is protected, the base class property will be thrown into the protected. Okay, third variation about the base class, if the properties, that means data and functions, are defined in the protected mode, once again three options, child with public, see where it is actually intersecting, protected. That means you have to remember protected will be getting into protected itself, even though the child class is trying to receive it in the public section. Another thing, protected part when child class is receiving the properties in private section, of course private because it is having the highest priority. And finally, when base class is protected, child class receiving mode is protected, of course by default, definitely don't give it a thought, just protected. So there will be only one slightly change, so you need to remember, you need to observe the base class properties are when protected, when child class receiving mode is public, there will be slight focus of attention, that is protected. Okay, every time you make a list, you refer this table. If you go through this table, if you make a list using this table, definitely there will be this certainty in your list. And if your list is accurate, if your list is precise and quick, like we always say, your program, your code will never go wrong. Okay, so let us go for this program. But before we actually start with the program, let me give you the diagram. What will be the, the structure, because we are having multiple classes. We are going to deal with multiple classes, and in that case, a visualization, an imagination must be there with you. So for that particular purpose, let me give you the image. Fine, there is going to be the scene there. Base class, super parent class, that will be student. Child class for that will be test. Test will be receiving the properties using public mode. Okay, one more level, go beyond one level down, and that is now test class will be acting as a parent class, and it is having a child class result. Child class will be receiving the properties in public section. So I guess the diagram will give you the clear picture, right? What would be the scene? Okay, let me give you this table available so that you can make a list, you can verify the details. Okay, fine, let's go practicing the list, because if the list is complete, if the list is accurate, the program is definitely on the go, error free. Okay, let's get started with the list. First of all, the class name, that will be student. Fine, a special symbol just to differentiate a class from the remaining rest of the classes. Okay, for the student class, what is the first visibility mode? We need to define something in protected. We need to be precise, we need to be quick. That's why no formalities. Okay, directly name of the variable, then the public part. Okay, you refer the table. Fine, public get n function, that's it. Another function it is having, there is put n. That's all about the super parent class student. It doesn't have anything else other than these three properties, one variable and two functions. Okay, now about the child class, its immediate child, that is test. Okay, for test class, once again in the protected part, we are having two variables, s1, s2. Okay, in the public section, list out the functions, get m, put m, that will be done. Okay, first of all, we have listed the properties directly, which is visible to us. Another part, now we are going to add something into the list, which is implicit properties given to the child class from the student parent class. All right, now we need to merge these properties into the child class. While we are doing that, while we are merging something into the list of the child class, you definitely have to take a look at the table. Okay, once again, protected of base. All right, the protected of base, where exactly you are going to see? Okay, here, protected of base. Done. This is the column for the base class, protected for the base. What is the visibility for child class? That is going to be public. Okay, so where exactly out of these three child class? Yes, exactly. So base class protected, child class public. Here exactly that will be the intersection point. Are you getting my point completely clearly? So you are going to open something inside the protected section and list out base class protected, child class public intersecting at the protected. That is why the roll number will get into the protected part. Done. Fine, don't miss this part, don't miss these tiny spots. Okay, another part, something base class public. Okay, list out the table once again, base class public part, and for the child class mode is still public. So base class public, child class public, where exactly they are meeting? That is rendezvous point, the intersection point, that is public. See, it is going to, it is getting builded, right? Get n, another one, that is put n. Fine. Okay, that is how it has to be, the list. Okay, so that is all about the list of the class test. Okay, so we move on to the next class, that is result. Okay, one more class, super child class, you say named result. First of all, the properties of child class, which is visible to you directly. List out the properties in the private section. What do we have? A variable total, and the public, a function called display. That's it. Now, yes, we are supposed to add all the properties of test into the result. Mind it, this is where this list is going to be super useful, most useful, because it is not only the properties which is visible to the code, fine, which is visible to you. That is not the only property we are talking about. We are talking about the entire list of the properties. That means we are supposed to add this part into the list as well. So this entire list, fine, the entire list of the class test must be included in class result. Fine, there is the usability, accuracy of making this list. You can thank me later, don't worry, we'll come to that later. Fine. Okay, first of all, you practice the table. What does it say? Base class P. See once again, base class protected part. See the table, base class protected, and child class. What is the access mode, visibility mode for the child class? That is public. So protected and public, where exactly they are meeting? The intersection point, that is protected. See, protected. So the protected properties of the base class, it will be received in the child class in the protected part only. That is the use of this table right here. Okay, so protected content inside the protected part as it is, no modification, easy. Fine. Another thing, now another section, that is public. Base class, the public part of the base, fine, the column public, and again just take a look at the child class visibility, that is public. Base public of base class, child of base class, where exactly they are intersecting, that is public. No deals. So you can write something in the public. What we are going to write? Get m, put m. Still one more thing to go, one more list to go. Yes, we are talking about this list. So one more plus sign, and base class protected, child class public, intersection point. Repeat this practice, don't get tired. Fine. If you get tired, you'll get stuck. Keep practicing, keep it up. So protected, again inside that repetition of the same, there is roll number. Public, base class public, base class public, child class public, where exactly they are meeting? Once again the same point, that is public. So in the public part, get n, put n, and the list is complete. So that is the use of the list. No missing. See, have you observed one thing? Our list, our method has not skipped a tiny little variable or a minor minimum most function. Everything is there now, the list. Okay, so that is why we are referring, that is why I am insisting you people to practice the list. Later on it will be, you will be very used to it. You don't have to even actually make this list, you don't have to refer this table on and on. Fine, it will be, you know, like an instance, it will be like a quick reflex. Okay, so now we are done with the list. Where exactly we are going to focus? In the main program, main definition. Here we are with the main definition itself. Fine. Okay, so that is the list, that is the definition, that is me, that is you. Fine, continue. Okay, now we are going to make an object of class est. So once again a few practicing words. Whatever the classes we are having, no matter how many classes are there, we are going to create an object of the class at the very bottom level. That means in this case we are going to create an object of class result, which is actually lying at the bottom of the diagram. So the object of class result should be there, not student. Fine, it has to be result. Okay, fine. Now I have corrected it. Okay, and once again there is also advisor, because it is of no use of making an object of class student, because in case if you make an object of super class student, super parent class student, it will be having only 3 properties. But instead of that, compared to that, if you make an object of class result, super child class object, it will be accessing all these properties, the highlighted part. Fine, that is more beneficial, that is more useful. Okay, so after making an object of super child class result, the first line of code, that is s.getN, we will be practicing both the laws, both the rules. Rule number 1, object and list must be referred of the same class. Alright, so you are supposed to observe the list. Can you find getN function in the list? Can you find the function getN is in the list? Yes, it is there. Yes, exactly. Number 2, second rule, second condition. Is it public? Check the list once again. Yes, it is public. Go there, execute the definition, that's it. So we are going to jump to the definition, we will be executing the definition, and we are going to store value 1 in roll number of object S. Done? Now it is easy. If you go through this method, if you practice this method, then and then the concept of inheritance will be super easy, or else it will be damn complicated, it will be damn difficult for you, right? Another line, right next to that we are having one more function, s.getM. Rule number 1, object and list, refer object and list. Okay, object is of class result, that's why we will be referring the list of class result. Okay, inside this list, can you find a function getM? Yes, it is there somewhere. Yep, exactly. Yes. So first condition, that is true. Condition number 2, rule number 2, is it public? Just take a look at the function visibility. Yes, it is public. So go there, execute the definition, no matter where exactly it is defined. Okay, now we are going to jump directly into the definition, and from using x and y variables, we are going to put 88, 99 to S1 and S2 variables. So line number 2, function calling for 2, that is executed. Finally, yes, something missing. We are supposed to make a call to s.display. Now there is a perfect code. Let me skip something else, right? It is totally understood, right? Put get cs so that you can easily run the program. Okay, s.display. same two conditions, rule number 1, object and list of the same class. So object is of class result, so we are going to access the list of class result. Can we see the function display? Yes, display is there. Rule number 2, is it public? Yes, it is public. So both the rules are true, both the conditions are true. That means you can execute the definition. So now we are inside the definition of void function, inside the display function. Now we are inside the definition of display function. So display, once we are inside the list, this display is actually able to access everything in the same list. Okay, that is the rule. Once again, that is the primary rule. Once we are inside the list, the function, it can make a call, it can access everything inside the same list. Let it be a variable, let it be a function, but if it is inside the same list, if it belongs to the same list, there is no problem. So this display function, mind it, let me remind once again, this display function can make a call to everything listed over here, and that is the exact, perfect, accurate use of our list method. Okay, so the thing is there. Okay, so display can make a call to total, display can access S1 and S2, display can access roll number, display can directly make a call to get and put m, get and put n. In short, display function can access everything inside this list, that is for sure. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. In the first line itself, see everyone, display function is accessing three variables, that is total, S1 and S2. Okay, total, S1 and S2. The only problem part, that is it is not able to access the roll number, because roll number is still inside the very super parent class, there is student. Or is it there somewhere? No, it is there. Yes, it is there. We can actually access it, right? It is not in the private part, it is protected. Fine, so it is there. So display function can actually access total variable, S1 and S2 variables, and roll number variable as well. All right. Okay, so that is the condition. That means display function can access everything inside the list, that means all the variables. Okay, so the values will be added from S1 and S2 and will be stored into total. Fine. Next to that, it is going to make a call to put n and put m. Once again, that is also possible. Here, put m, same list, it can make a call. Put n, once again the same list, it can make a call. Fine. Along with that, along with total, we can also print roll number as well. There is no problem, there is no confusion, because still they both are in the same list. Okay, so that is the actual purpose of making a list along with using the table for the reference. Okay, hopefully you go through the code. Fine. The entire code will be given in the comment section, and definitely you can just go through there. Okay, just let me know.